We wanted to talk to the people that are shaping the future of North Queensland and Central Queensland about what the keys are to unlocking the regions. Dr. Rachel Hay and Christy Sparrow join me now, both total advocates for opening up these regions to all of their possibilities. Rachel, we start by talking about your role in Far North Queensland?
Yeah, so I'm the knowledge broker for the Tropical North Queensland Drought Hub, and the hub is looking at preparedness for future droughts. And then in technology space, I research into technology adoption and connectivity literacy in rural areas.
Let's talk about how important connectivity is. There's so many great ideas up here. There's huge businesses, there's lucrative industries. If you can't get the information in and out, what do you do?
Well, first thing to know that's really important is that everyone can get connected these days. So lots has changed over the last few years. Infrastructure trajectory is really good. It's going up. It's going into a really nicely managed place. So now we have to think about what is it that's stopping people getting connected. So we're talking about really a very congested space, lots of information, lots of new things, lots of old habits, and so we need to sort of think about that and change that now.
So there's lots of connectivity options out there, you're telling me, and Christy, the group that you co-founded with a bunch of women who said, hey, come on, we've got to get better internet access out here in rural, regional and remote Australia. What was the genesis of that group, and what's the message you want to get out?
Yeah, so Better Internet for Rural, Regional and Remote Australia started in 2014 with a friend of mine, Kylie Stretton, and myself. We now have 16,000 active members in our group, and we have really strongly advocated to the point that now push broadband isn't bad anymore. So we've won that battle, and now we have this information overload, and that's actually going to get worse. We've got things like Amazon Cupra about to launch, Starlink, all these new technologies, but it's really confusing, and the telcos actually expect a lot from a consumer, often I think too much. So yeah, Burr was born in 2014, and we've come a long way since then. We started when I was educating my twins via School of the Air on 25 gig of data that cost me $190 a month, and we were getting speeds of 1 megabit per second. So fast forward almost 10 years, we're nearly 10 this year, and we've come a very long way.
So you've been advocating in the halls of Canberra and all around Australia to say, hey, we needed better access. We've got the connectivity now. Now the challenge you're saying for people on the land and in rural and remote areas is, well, what do I use? How do I use it?
Yeah, so it's not just about how you use it as well. It's also about connecting and connectivity literacy. So what technology do I need, first of all, and then which provider do I choose? There's all of these providers, probably not ones that you'd know of or historically have heard about before. And then there's plans. You have to choose which speed tier you want, how much data you need, and then what equipment. So if you're using like an 8-year-old router, it's probably time to change.
What would you say is the single biggest issue producers are talking about today in terms of their connectivity?
Yeah, I think getting their issues addressed, so once they get connected, so that's confusing space, it's also really difficult to actually get the troubleshooting going, and things like 3G shutdown, which we've just heard has been extended by Telstra to 31st of August.
That must be a relief, right?
Yeah, because just quietly, I think it wasn't just the consumer that wasn't quite ready, I think they may not have been quite ready themselves. We still have 3G, we haven't had a technology upgrade yet.
Where you are?
Where we are, yeah.
And you're on a big cattle station just out of Alpha?
That's right, yep.
So you're not getting connectivity where you are?
We do, we have NBN satellite, which is great, but our 3G is pretty poor, and we're looking forward to the upgrade there. So things are happening, upgrades are happening, it's just become quite a confusing and congested space. So definitely reach out to the Regional Tech Hub if you're not quite sure of your options. They're a free independent service. So I said yesterday, it's a bit like going to Toyota. They're only going to sell you a Toyota. Mitsubishi, only sell you a Mitsubishi. Telecommunications is very similar. You go to one provider, there may be other options, but they're not going to tell you what they are.
So one of the keys to unlocking our regions is understanding the complex landscape of connectivity. But Rachel, another one is drought resilience.
Yeah, so connectivity plays a big part in drought resilience as well, because if we can't access the information, then we can't create the change that we need in order to be prepared for drought. So we're doing some wonderful things within the hub around different types of connectivity trials. We've managed to take a beef producer who was completely disconnected for many reasons, but reconnect them and change their paper-based system right into a digital system in a matter of a month. So, you know, just to open people's minds to the fact that they need this connectivity, that they need the access, and that they can do it in lots of different ways, means that they can prepare better.
Rachel, I was interested to learn about your career. You've had quite a bit to do with the sugar industry, which is a crucial part of the economy in these pockets of Queensland. Can you tell us about the challenges facing the sugar industry at the moment?
Yeah, so we are going into a longer period of dry, lots of different more severe storms. That's going to affect the way that sugar is grown and processed. There's a lot of governance type issues that are coming up for sugar as well. So environmental, social, ESG, environmental, social governance measurements are starting to come in. So the hub's developing all of these tools that will make them more resilient for business into the future. And while that doesn't seem like that's a drought preparedness practice, these are the important things. It's not only around, you know, how do we replace water or do things differently in the land management practices. It's also about how do we support our markets to be price takers or price makers rather than price takers.
We're not letting anyone leave the studio today without asking the question, how do you take your steak, Rachel?
Blue.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh, you're outrageous.
And yeah, it's really hard to get a really good one, so I really love it when I come across one, yeah.
I'm a medium.
Are you?
Yeah.
The first time I went to visit your beautiful place, part of the world, out in Alpha, Christy, I came across a crumbed steak, and I can say I did not know they did not exist in New South Wales. So that was a memorable treat. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to bring you all of the action from centre ring and around the grounds here on Beef TV.